So we're going to go through each of the fixtures for game week 8. They seem a long way away at the moment. And we're going to predict those fixtures and give a little nod to assets and how we think we're going to do, good or bad. So I'm going to try and be as unbiased as possible and pitch the first fixture to you first, Jack. It's Watford at home to Liverpool, early kickoff.
This should be a routine win for Liverpool. For me, Josh, even though it's away, it's the early kickoff. Gandhi says never back the early fixtures. We know. I don't care. My armband's going on Mo. Lesson learned yet again for the millionth time this week.
Hate pacifists.
Going to be. I'll be amazed if Salah doesn't bag. I'll be amazed if Watford score. To be honest, I don't think. Again, what we just said. I don't think this is a good one for the SAR owners, and I can't see anything other than a Liverpool 2 or 3-0 win. Really, what do you think?
Yeah, even if there is a bounce for Watford, I think this is not the game that they would have chosen to have to try and utilize for a bounce. I think it's got to be a Liverpool win. I hope it is Liverpool win as a fan, and it comes back round to that captain the informed player, Salah. Yeah, I'd be looking at the Salah armband here, despite the away fixture.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Flip the script, Josh. My team are playing in the next fixture. Bit of a derby. Villa versus Wolves. How do you think this will go?
Oh, Jack, I thought I was burnt with Villa for not last week, but the 2 weeks before, when I doubted them massively, and they did really well. But last week, I'm having my doubts again, Jack, and I think Wolves are gaining momentum, and Jimenez is looking like a beast. But it is a derby, therefore I think it will be a very, very tight game. So I'm going to go with a draw. I don't think it'll be goalless. I think it's going to be a bit of a fight. So I think play your Wolves attacking assets. I would be a little bit worried about your defensive assets because I think it's going to be a feisty one. What do you think?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, Villa. I was sure Villa, it was so weird. I was sure Villa were going to beat Spurs. And that's the first time I've ever been sure that we'll beat Spurs in my life, probably. And of course, we didn't beat them. Yeah, really disappointing performance, really, against a lackluster Spurs, it has to be said. And yeah, Villa are a strange one to figure out at the moment. 1 week we're beating United, looking great. Next week, struggling. And Wolves, unfortunately for us, great for them, are on the upward trajectory now. Like you say, Jimenez, I think he's awoken. He's completed that rehab stage now, and he's looking really good. They've got a couple of other really good players. Benching Traore for them is paying off, as they learned last year. So yeah, I think Wolves are going to win. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
I think Hwang looks really good. Hwang and Jimenez look good. Villa shaky. I think Wolves are going to win, and I'd play your Wolves defensive assets. I hate to even say that. I've really swung on us, Josh. I'm down about the Spurs game, but I don't think we're in that good a spot at the moment. So I think Wolves are going to do all right here. Yeah, 2-0 Wolves.
Let's move on. Let's not dwell on that. Let's move on. So next we've got Leicester at home to Man United. Will Man United bounce back, Jack? What's Ollie going to do?
Oh, this one's tricky. This one's really tricky. I can't choose between them. I think they'll both score goals, but they're both quite soft at the back. So I think it's going to be a score draw. And I certainly wouldn't captain assets from either side. I'd be wary of defensive assets for either side. Could see Bruno getting a haul here for sure. Could see Vardy scoring, but not to the extent where I'd look to captain either, really. And I'm not afraid of this fixture. Despite owning no players, I'm not scared of it, because it could go either way. So yeah, a score draw for me. Josh, what do you think?
I would agree. I think despite the gap in the league table, United being 4th and Leicester being 13th, I think their form trajectories are crossing over. So, United are on a bit of a down, great early season, a little bit lost at the moment, and Leicester are starting to find their way, mainly because of Jamie Vardy's form, you'd say. So I think at this point, they're intersecting. Leicester at home, still think a score draw is what's gonna come out of that. So yeah, avoid the defensive assets of both teams, if anyone's on those, because, the defenses don't look great for either of them this year.
Quite so. Next one, Josh. a really tough one to call. Man City, Burnley.
Yeah, I think I got the easy one on this one. I would say has to be a City win. They looked very, very good against Liverpool. Maybe not much in it. You'd say if Milner got sent off, that would have changed the game. But I would say quality over big periods of the game, City looked the better team. So it's just that kind of attacking threat that Liverpool showed. So I think City against teams like Burnley, they're just going to trample them.
I think they will as well, yeah. And I think this year, Burnley's defence, but I think me and Tarkowski are not the stalwarts they once were. And yeah, I think City should roll over. I think I saw a stat earlier that their last 5 fixtures, the goal difference is 30-1 or something. Like City have scored 30. That can't be right. 30 and 5. It must be more than 5 games, but it's pretty crazy regardless. Yeah, I think it's going to be a steamroll. Who would you captain a City asset?
Which asset?
That's a question, isn't it?
Yeah. I think we'll come back to the same question over and over again. Would love to have a slice of that City attacking threat, but who is it? Foden looked great, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets rotated. So yeah, got to steer clear until someone really gets nailed and consistently produces points.
Yeah, bench your Burnley defence
for sure. If you've got any, I think now's the time to hide them away in that third bench spot.
Yeah, get your Livramentos out. Give him a chance.
Come on, Livy.
Give him a chance. Yeah.
Back to you. So Norwich at home to Brighton. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's a solid Brighton win this. And I know we make fun of Norwich and say, everyone's going to beat Norwich. I don't think everyone will beat Norwich all the time, but I do think Brighton will beat Norwich all the time. I think Brighton are really good. They're flying under the radar as a bit of a dark horse this year. Potter's really firmed up that defence. I think there's more Pays looking like he knows where the goal is at last. They got some good. I love Trossard. I think they've got some great players, and Norwich are pretty rubbish. So I think it's a solid Brighton win to 0. So I'm looking forward to playing Sanchez and Duffy in my defence, and I expect 6 points, please, boys. So yeah, it's 2 or 3-0 to Brighton for me. What do you think?
Agree entirely. Can't see Norwich offering that much attacking threat. I think what we saw in the last game as well from them is they've moved to a back 5 or 3 central defenders. I think they've become way more defensive just to stop the rot basically, and that's going to affect their attacking output. Norwich,
which wasn't great anyway, was it?
Not that they had much anyway. So I think Brighton, who have proved themselves to be so stubborn defensively for anyone else trying to score against them, that I can't see Norwich getting a pip here. But Brighton's attacking output is what's of concern. I mean, I think most people have gone for their defensive assets. So yeah, play them obviously.
Yeah, pretty straightforward on that one. Next up, less straightforward, I would say, Josh. Southampton against Leeds.
Yeah, I think 2 teams sat right next to each other in the table. Leeds 16th, Southampton 17th. Southampton have shown themselves to be awkward, haven't they? Again, much sometimes like Brighton, but nowhere near as consistently. That they can stop the opponents from scoring, but they just look toothless, which has kind of cost them in a lot of games. No wins so far this season. I can see Southampton at home being awkward again, despite Leeds' out-and-out kind of attacking threat. I think it's going to be a draw, maybe even a 0-0. Dare I say that for Leeds, not scoring any goals, being attackers as they are. But I just think Southampton are well set up at home with their defence.
Yeah, fair shout. What's really interesting is Southampton are actually higher than Leeds for XG this season, which you wouldn't have guessed. They're both mid-table. But yeah, the Adam Armstrongs haven't quite. They looked really promising early on, didn't he? But he hasn't quite got going. He just needs that couple of goals to get going. I think Southampton are going to win this. I think Leeds are. They're like a Man United light at the moment, and by that I mean they've got some very nice attacking assets, but are quite weak in other areas. I think Llorente being back for them is big from a defensive standpoint. But yeah, I think Saints are a bit underrated generally. And I think their performances don't reflect their point total doesn't reflect how good their performances have been. So yeah, I'm thinking a Southampton home win here.
Nice.
There you are.
Okay. So play Rafinha just in case, and obviously, are you thinking of starting your Livermentos?
Yeah, Livy's starting for me. I mean, defensively aside, his attacking play is brilliant so far. An assist against Chelsea this week. He loves getting into that box. He's looking to be the Dallas and the Lundstrom of this year. I think he's pushing for that legendary status.
Lovely. I think this one's back to you now. So our beloved Brentford at home to Chelsea.
Yeah, really tricky. It is a tricky one to call. They've been making mincemeat of their London rivals so far, Brentford. But Chelsea, the European champions, I can't look past that Chelsea win. It wouldn't surprise me to see Brentford score at all, but I think this will be a bridge too far for them. And I'd go, a 2-1 or a 3-1 Chelsea win here with Lukaku to do something. So I don't think Lukaku's the best captain this week at all, though, I would say. But it would surprise me to see him do another blank here. What do you think?
I think Brentford are going to be stubborn, but Chelsea are just that good. So I think a Chelsea win, as you said, I wouldn't be surprised if there's not many goals in it, like a 1-0 or a 2-1. I do think Brentford are going to give them a run for their money. They'll know that they've been in a game, but Chelsea top of the table, it's quality all over the pitch. It's got to, I think an away win for Chelsea. Play your Brentford assets.
I think you always play them. Always play them. We don't know enough about them to say that they're not going to do really well, do we? I'm thinking of getting a Mbeumo in, really. If they win this, then we need to really start really talking about them, don't we?
Like double, triple up levels.
Yeah, seriously, for the price they are. So definitely play your Brentford assets. Yeah, don't be this. I'd view this as like a free swing for them almost, and something can happen here. It's not like Norwich playing Chelsea, is it? It's anything can happen with the bees. Moving on to Sunday's fixtures, Josh. Oh, a bit of a doozy this one. Everton West Ham. Two ambitious teams. What are you thinking?
Yeah, similar profiles, I'd say. I think Rafa is doing well at Everton. They haven't had DCL, but they're still chugging along, really. I think it's going to be very
signings.
Yeah. The new boys are doing well for them. Great result this week as well. I think at home, with the wind in their sails a little bit recently, I think Everton are gonna beat West Ham, I'd say, which may surprise some people. I just have that feeling. I think West Ham, as you said, maybe it's the introduction of the European games a little bit. They're looking a bit leggy, maybe wavering a little bit. Maybe suddenly that form has just drained out of them a little bit. But I think Everton are on the up and up.
Yeah, really tough one to call this. Really tough one to call because I can see Everton should have beaten Man United the other day. They should have that Mina offside. I think what's his face should have just shot. Davis should have just shot there.
What is he doing?
Yeah. And they've, as you say, Benitez done really well. New signings looking great. Decore's looking like a new player. But they have it in them to fuck it up, I think, again, in this type of fixture. And I think West Ham are still pretty good. I think they're still pretty good. And they'll be disappointed after that Brentford loss. So, although this is 2 weeks away, isn't it? But I'd go for a narrow West Ham win, I think, here. But any result wouldn't surprise me. Any narrow result wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, play assets in both.
Yeah, could swing either way, couldn't it, really?
No doubt. No doubt.
So Newcastle with the beloved ASM, which none of us own, against Spurs.
Yeah, obviously Spurs, great result against the Villa the other day. They looked much better than they had done, disappointingly for me. They look great. Son just ran the show. I mean, I don't think we've mentioned Son yet today, but he's someone definitely I'm now looking at. He was just phenomenal. Even though Kane wasn't firing, Son didn't need him. He just made everything tick, ran our defense ragged, and I think inspired the rest of the team to do something. So yeah, they still didn't look amazing defensively. We still had spells where we should have probably scored a couple, but that win will do wonders for them. And Newcastle are just looking like they're in the mud from a team morale level. And poor old ASM, there's only so much he can do with that dross around him. I think it's a Spurs win here. A 1-0, 2-0 Spurs win. What do you think?
Yeah, I would be wary of the Newcastle at home, who are slightly different beast because of the support that they have.
Mm,
But I still think that that's not enough of a kind of boost to beat the Spurs team that have seemed to be using their great assets in a better way now. So I'm with you. I think Spurs are going to use this as a platform to get another win and continue to kind of build some form.
yeah, again, interesting on the XG stats. Newcastle actually have a higher XG away from home so far than they do at home. But again, it's a small sample in it so far, and they've presumably played one more game away than they have home. So we've only played 7 games. So I wonder if that's the case. Yeah, they've played 4 away games. So yeah, that's obviously skewing that. Ignore me. Ignore all of that. Yeah, Newcastle, not great. Not great at all. The final game, Josh, moving on to the final game. It's Arsenal against Palace. Interesting one on the Monday.
Yeah, I really can't call this because I thought Arsenal were turning that form around. And on my wild card, I was, looking at Emil Smith Rowe and Saka, and I did bring in Ramsdale defense. But the game against Brighton, and like we were saying, Brighton are very good, and I think we need to recognise that. But I think Arsenal got away with one to get a draw there, and they didn't look very, very good. I think Brighton's XG was 1.12, Arsenal's 0.36. So I don't think they're quite the team that people are describing them as, saying bring in all these assets. So, and Palace are looking very good as well. So I could see a draw, maybe even leaning towards a Palace win.
Wow.
But I'm gonna say a draw just to be safe because Arsenal could revitalise that form that they've shown in 3 games prior to this weekend just passed. So I'm gonna go draw.
Interesting. Yeah, I agree with you in that I don't think Arsenal are suddenly a great team and everything's fine again, as seemed to be the case after that Spurs win, didn't it? Suddenly, oh, Arteta's great. Never mind those first 3 shambolic games. But you're right, against Brighton, they weren't the better team there. And Palace are just really tough to call, aren't they? I think under Vieira, they're not. I don't know I haven't figured them out yet, really, in terms of how good they are. Definitely a lot more expressive and attacking. It's just whether they've got the individuals to keep going. So yeah, I'm going to go Arsenal win, seeing as it's at home, but I think
Begrudgingly.
it's a really tentative one. I don't know what will happen there. Wouldn't surprise me if Palace pulled something out the bag. So yeah, I'll go 1-0 Arsenal, but not confident. Don't gamble on these predictions, people. We
Play
have
your
no
Gallagher's.
responsibility. Yeah, I think play your Gallagher's. And yeah, a few people got Edouard in, haven't they? And there's a few Zahars knocking about. I mean, Arsenal's defense still isn't that great. Ramsdale does make a difference, though. I think he does. He's a good signing in the end, or he's proving to be. So there we are. That's our predictions, Josh. Well predicted from you.
And you.
Time will tell. Feels a bit weird doing it 2 weeks in advance, but here we are.
It's a long way from that game week.
Could all change. Yeah, could all change. Be interesting to see what the internationals do to these players. And did you know it was the National League finals? I didn't know that. Did you?
No,
it's like the final of the National League is here. I don't really know who's in it, but
exactly.
The finals are happening.
Do we even know? Who does anyone care?
I don't. Definitely don't care. They're just friendlies wrapped up in nicer wrapping, aren't they? I suppose.
Exactly.
So there we are. But
bring back the FPL. Bring back Premier League. Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, predictions done.